Oh, man. What is up, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to TPL Live. Today is our post-game show. The Sixers got the L tonight, 112-109 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They move on to 14-3 at home, 22-12 on the season. Joining me today is one of the best Sixers follows, period. Follow him on Twitter at Tscabia. What's up, Tiago?
I had plans, man. After like 9 o'clock, I was hoping to, enjoy a movie or something like that. And here we are, like 10 p.m. after an overtime game against the Cleveland Cavs. And man, what a disaster this was. This was not on the agenda for tonight. That's for sure.
Oh man, this might have ruined my weekend, to be honest. Like this took me back. I was watching this game and I actually had flashbacks of doing Eagles watch parties and this is nauseating. Yeah. This is brutal. Like you look at the Sixers starting lineup with turnovers. Ben Simmons had 7 turnovers, 11. They had 14 turnovers in this game with the starting lineup. You go back to the game in late December against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The starting lineup had 15 turnovers. This is the game. This is like that. This example why I'm absolutely terrified about the Brooklyn Nets. The Sixers have zero answer for dribble penetrators. You look at guys like Garland and Sexton, 53 points combined by those two. The Sixers have, again, defensively gotten exposed by these guys in late December, but other teams like Chris Paul. But when you talk about teams with elite dribble penetrators, guys that can get buckets in the lane at whenever they want, like Harden, like Irving, like Durant, that is what I am terrified about. So also joining us today is my man Justin. Follow him on Twitter at Justin_Persichetti. What's up, Justin?
Listen, this game was an interesting one. I think we can all agree with that one. Anyone expect this game to go out the way it did?
I mean, not at home. Not at home. Yeah. If this was on the road, I would expect it. Not expected, but this is one of those hard-fought road wins. But not at home where the record speaks for itself. So, oh my God, if I were to tell you the Sixers defense would hold the Cleveland Cavaliers to 36 points, Joel Embiid would have 18 points in the final 12 minutes of this game. You would think the Sixers would roll in this one. Yeah. But sure enough, it really, whether it's the bench or the Sixers lack of shooting, that has to be the main two keys here. Tiago, what was one of your takeaways?
Well, let's just put into context how bad Cleveland is. I looked before the game for February. They had a negative 15 net rating for the month of February. So they were by far the worst net rating team in the NBA for February. And the Sixers welcomed that slop and kindly handed them the game tonight. But you mentioned one of the things you talked about. I mean, there's a lot of takeaways. One of the things that you talked about was, the turnovers and, just the sheer sloppiness. And I thought that this was a game where they really missed Tobias Harris. And the reason why I say that is because Tobias is one of those players that, he can score, he can pass, he can do a lot of different things. But most importantly, he does not turn the ball over that much. And he's a guy who seems to play a lot under control. And I thought that's something the Sixers really lacked in the first half. It got much better in the second half, and the defense really kind of clamped down. But again, reared his head back up in the overtime, and we talked about Joel passing out of double teams, things like that. It wasn't precise as it needed to be tonight. So I thought they missed Tobias Harris as one of the key reasons why they couldn't pull this out tonight.
Yeah, shot creators and defending the pick and roll. The Sixers just had no answer for that whatsoever. Justin, what was one of your takeaways?
It kind of similar to what Tiago was saying. It's just more specific about why a big thing that we were missing with Tobias Harris was his rebounding. Something that I really noticed, and you can look at the box score and see it as well, is that the Cavs out-rebounded us tonight. And being that they don't have Andre Drummond playing, and Jared Allen was in foul trouble a lot of the game, and so was JaVale McGee. It usually you wouldn't expect that, but Dean Wade was getting some boards tonight, and I think it had a lot to do with Tobias not being in the game. And people, when you see Tobias Harris, your mind may not go straight to rebounding, but Tobias is probably third on the team, or maybe even fourth on the team in rebounding. He ends with at least like 8 every single game. And those rebounds really do make a difference for our team. And you notice that offensively when he gets some putbacks every once in a while, and defensively helping reducing the other team's offensive rebounds. Because tonight, I think last time I checked, I think the Cavs had like 12 offensive rebounds tonight to our 8 offensive rebounds. So that makes a difference to me right there.
I look at points in the paint. The Sixers gave up 68 points in the paint against the Cavaliers in their first matchup on December 27th. Tonight, they gave up 62. The Sixers had 42 points in the paint. That's inexcusable, guys. There's no way you can be giving up that many points in the paint. And to me, that screams that the Sixers need to bring it. Daryl Morey better be watching this game. This is one of those games where it is beyond clear what they need to address moving forward. Any other takeaways, Tiago?
Yes, so like points in the paint, right? The Sixers have always struggled to defend these smaller, quicker guards. And Colin Sexton came in as the second most field goals inside the paint. So and you saw it play out like right in front of our eyes. Like the Sixers really had no real answers to keeping him away from that area of the court. Him and also Darius Garland. So both of them did a lot of damage in the paint. So I mean that was the one main takeaway. And the second takeaway, we're going to talk about it probably, continues to be the Sixers bench, which is it's a dumpster fire, man. I mean, I'm going to read you guys some numbers for the month of February, in particularly for the Sixers bench. So this is the Sixers bench in the month of February, right? So I'm going to go right down the line. So points, they are 30th in points with 317. 3-point mades, they are 30th in 3-point makes for the month of February, right? They're shooting 31% from 3-point land in the month of February, and they're minus 29 in the month of February. So that is not what you want for a team who's going to be competing for a championship this year. So the question obviously now is, how do you address that, right? There's a clear need there, and we can talk about what those needs are in more detail, but something needs to be done because this is getting really, really ugly.
Yeah, and I would like to piggyback off what you're saying real quick before we get into more segments that we're talking about. Like the thing with the bench as well, and this is a kind of a conversation I was having, I think, with Matt and Mike the other day during the game on what exactly this team needs in trade and before the trade deadline and everything. And as much as people want to get like another starter for this team, I really, really think just getting role players is what this team needs. Because to me, you already have the core offensive guys you need on this team to end games and to do what you need to do there. You just need guys, if someone's not hitting that night, you need somebody else out there to be hitting. Yeah. And it just seems like our young guys who we thought we wanted this year to really take that next step, guys like Shake Milton, guys like Tyrese Maxey, guys like Furkan Korkmaz, who we really wanted to see more out of this year. It's just not happening. Yeah. And I think in low key, I think we kind of expected that in some ways. We obviously, to be honest with you, I expected Shake Milton to be playing better this year. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's because of the spotty minutes he's been getting because of injuries. I don't know if that's because of COVID, because of not having practices as much of other things. I don't know. But I agree with you. I think bringing in role-playing shooters, guys that are going to fit around these stars is what is important.
That was my next question to you guys. What was the bigger disappointment? Is it Seth Curry and his shooting 1 of 13 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3-point range, 4 points in 39 minutes, 4 points, or is it Shake Milton? You look at Shake Milton. This guy's not the Shake Milton that we've seen. There was a play there in the second half when he had a wide open freaking lane to get a bucket, and what does he do? He tries to pass it off, and it looks like Ben Simmons almost. And it leads to a turnover. That's not the Shake Milton that I've seen over the last 4, 5, 6 years. This is a guy that is shooting 38% from the field in February. He's shooting 34% from 3 in February. You go back to January, 32%, and then you go to December, 26%. This guy has a long history of being 40+ in pretty much everywhere across the board in the catch and shoot and from 3-point range. Shake Milton, man, I know probably expectations might have been a little too high, 6th man of the year, all that jazz. But man, I am a Shake Milton guy, and this was one of those painful performances. And because the problem is he started out showing so many flashes on defense, and not only has his scoring just plummeted, but the defense has as well. Justin, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think, like, it's kind of both to me. Like, Seth Curry has been a little disappointing as of late. I do think part of that is him trying to get back into his rhythm. I think for a while, being out for as long as he was, and with the conditioning issues he was having after going through COVID, I think part of his issue is getting back into a rhythm of things. Shake, I feel like it's just inconsistency. Like, I don't know if it's we got to get him in better positions, because, like, part of that is what I think it is. I think sometimes he's just out of position. I think he's all over the place. He's not getting his shots in specific places. Like, think about before COVID, what this team looked like offensively. Everyone was kind of getting their shots off in the same spots most of the time when they were hot. Right now, you're seeing a little bit of inconsistency from where people are getting their shots, at least from my perspective. So I don't know. Part of me thinks guys like Shake and maybe even Furkan could produce better if they're getting to their spots a little bit more. Now, I don't know how you manifest that in the offense or how you manipulate that, being that it's not like you're drawing up plays specifically for them most of the time, but I think that would help them.
Yeah.
Shake Milton, Korkmaz, and Seth Curry shot 2 of 14 from 3 this year, from 3 tonight.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Chris, like, if you're asking me who the biggest disappointment is, it's obviously Seth Curry, right? But if you're asking me who do I trust more, it's also Seth Curry. Because I do think that we've probably fallen a little bit too much in love with Shake Milton from last year's Clippers game into this year. And rightfully so. Like, the guy was playing really, really well to start the year. But I don't think I can comfortably say there's enough of a Shake Milton track record to be like, you know what, if I need this guy in the fourth quarter, I'm going to put Shake Milton out there on the court. And you touched on something that was really interesting, which is defense. And I mean, I took a screenshot, first play in overtime. You know, Okoro's cutting right down in front of him. He looks at Okoro and does not acknowledge the fact there's a cutter coming right in front of him. You know, 2 easy points for Cleveland to start overtime. Like, you can't have that in overtime in a tie game. Like, you just can't. So I've been very disappointed Shakes for the past month or so. You know, maybe the ankle has something to do with it. You know, we don't know. But, you know, Justin asked the question, like, how do you address the bench, right? So do you play the margins? Do you go after starter? You know, I think the first thing foremost, what they need is a stretch 5, right? I think we all agree. Yeah. Like, there's way too much Dwight Howard right now, period. That needs to be addressed. But then the next move for me is actually to go after another starter, because what that does, it moves Danny Green to the bench. Now you got something going, because Danny Green off the bench, a stretch 5, Shake, and Matisse. Now you got something you can work with instead of just playing the margins of the bench, bringing another guy like a Wayne Ellington or something like that. It may or may not help you drive the wins that you're looking for. So that's how.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And, like, I could agree with the fact of bringing in a guy that's going to replace Danny Green in a sense, but it's just I don't know, because the big guy that's on the market right now, the big guy that everyone's talking about is Kyle Lowry, and I don't know if Kyle Lowry is the guy that I think belongs in that offense. Like, I think, like you said, if you can get a guy who's a good, like, can guard and hit threes in that spot for Danny Green, who may be a little bit more athletic, I think that would be perfect in that spot. And I think realistically, like, Matisse Thybulle could consistently hit threes, man. He'd be so perfect for that role. Obviously, that's not right now, and that's not realistic, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just with this comment, Yola boy. He says, y'all need to stop making excuses for this team, guys. This team is not good enough, and we'll see more from now to the All-Star game. I don't think it's that this team's not good. Part of this game as well, dude, you realize we shot like 67% from the free throw line. Like, that's awful. Like, the amount of free throw, like, Shake Milton missed a clutch free throw. Furkan Korkmaz missed 2 of his 3 free throws when he got a foul on a three-point shot. Like, there was just Dwight Howard was missing free throws tonight. Ben Simmons was. There was just a lot of missed opportunities to get this team going in the right direction. I mean, even Ben Simmons had a foul when Shake Milton was hitting a three that would have tied the score 99-99.
What was that foul? I didn't see that foul.
I didn't see it either, but the point is there was multiple times for this team to get into this game, and it just didn't happen. And I don't like it. To me, that just they could have won this game in a lot of different ways tonight, and none of it was happening. And I mean, Austin said Doc Rivers said this. He said, we were running our offense like it was a walkthrough today. So if that doesn't say anything, like, I don't know what else does.
Yeah, this is one of those weird games where Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid combined themselves for 66 points in this game. 66 points. Yeah. Remember everyone complaining that they those two can't win together? But anyway, like you look at the other game and Tobias, Ben, and Joel combined for like 40 points, even though Tobias got hurt. And the bench came through with nearly 50 points. I prefer that game over this every single day. This was just a painful game to watch, top to bottom, from the jump. They didn't really have a lead, I don't think, until like the fourth quarter. It was just an awful game. Let's go to our player of the game. Tiago, who's your player of the game?
What is that before I go to play game? What does it say?
Doc Rivers described the fact that the Sixers were in the game tonight, given the way that they played, as a freaking miracle.
I love Doc's honesty. I'll give him credit. He does not mince words when he goes on the podium. Props to him.
True.
Yeah,
it's absolutely true. You look at the
dude. It's a miracle in the sense. Joel hit. Okay, I thought this game was over in like the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Joel hits 2 threes to bring him within 4 points and 5 points in the last minute. So yes, it's a freaking miracle.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the player of the game is obviously Joel Embiid. I mean, he needs no introductions. I thought that it was good to have him see the ball go back into the hoop again, and I thought that it was really wise for Doc to kind of spread their quarterback out instead of him work off the post with his back to the basket. What he had him do is face the basket and start working, towards the rim instead of having his back to the rim. And I thought that. Joel saw the ball going early a couple of times today, and then from then on, it kind of became the Joel. So I appreciated the fact of how they kind of moved him around today, and it worked. It worked, obviously. The guy was phenomenal tonight.
Mm-hmm.
My God, 7 games for over 30 points in this month. 7 games by Joel Embiid. My God.
He didn't even feel that way. I mean, he had 23, and then end of the fourth and overtime, it was we're back to Joe. And I thought and I thought that
play 18 points in the last 12 minutes. 18 points.
And I thought that play they drew up was a nice play at the end of the regulation. The guy just made a good help defense play there, and it kind of rushed Joel, but I thought he had a good look. I thought it was a good play design. It just didn't work out in the Sixers' favor.
What about you, Justin? Who's your player of the game?
Oh, this guy's player of the game was the sweat floor wipers. So, yeah, my player of the game tonight, I'm gonna go Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. I honestly, I don't even remember what his stats are. To be honest with you, I don't have my stats open right now. But Ben Simmons just was guarding pretty well tonight on who he was on. I mean, you saw at the end of the game, Colin Sexton was the guy that was scoring throughout the game typically, and as soon as they put Ben Simmons on him, he slowed him down a lot. And then Darius Garland was the one who had to keep him in it at the end. So I think his defense showed a lot tonight. Honestly, also his driving to the basket, he kept them in this game and kept it close for them early when Joel was kind of limbering his ankle a little bit in the middle of the game. So I think that showed me a lot about him tonight. A sneaky one, because I'm gonna wait until Crockpuck. I'm gonna let Dive say his person. I don't want to accidentally steal his. I wanted to talk about somebody else.
Chris. I mean, it's clearly Joel Embiid. I'm just gonna just say one thing about Ben Simmons: 7 turnovers tonight. Yeah. Although a lot of that's not his fault. A lot of that is terrible shooting on the perimeter. You look at his turnover percentage over the last 6-7 games: 11, 7, 13, 11, 5, 18, 0%. And then you get to this game. There's a guy who his assist to turnover ratio was 4-1 over the last several games. So this is one of those games you just throw out. But my goodness, Ben Simmons, when he is aggressive, he is absolutely electric. Everyone knows that. But Joel Embiid was the ticket here. There were so many times when he was just give the ball to Joel, and he just dominated. And I just love seeing – there were several times in this game as well where he had the mismatch and he exploited it. There's been just a long history of Joel Embiid just passing it back out. Yeah. And how many times do we see him get double-teamed tonight and he just makes the immediate pass? Like his development and improvement reading a double team this year is truly incredible. Joel Embiid is my player of the game. Ben Simmons was great. Needs to cut down on those 7 turnovers. Go ahead, Justin.
No, I wanted to talk about Matisse Thybulle a little bit because he was very impressive to me tonight. I think he had 2 steals and a block. He also went 2 for 3 on the night. Hit a 3 earlier. In general, he just looked really good on the defensive end, and he was a big reason why at the end of this game we were able to stay in it, forcing some turnovers late and forcing the ball into their secondary scorer in Darius Garland, which is still a good scorer, but compared to Colin Sexton, you obviously would rather that anyway. So I'm really impressed by Matisse Thybulle, and he really has kind of carved out himself a role in this team. Early in the season, it seemed like he was having a hard time figuring out what he was on this team, and it seems like just as that. Obviously this is what he is, but the defensive specialist, he's coming in there and he's really doing his job, and he's doing it efficiently as well, in my opinion. So yeah. I just appreciate that a lot about his game right now.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say, just on the Matisse Thybulle point, I think this is the best basketball he's played as a Sixer. You can really feel his impact on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. And he's playing confidently on offense, and that shot that it looks good. It doesn't look off a lot of times, and I think it's gonna start falling more than not here in the next couple coming weeks. I'm hopeful because it looks smooth coming off his hands. He just hasn't hit any type of consistency, but this is the best he's played as a Sixers, no question.
I fully agree. There was a time during that first half when Matisse looked like the second best player on the court.
Yeah,
and he was absolutely everywhere. I want to go to this comment where I want to hear Mike Scott traded as soon as possible. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to piggyback off of what I just said about Matisse. Other than Ben and Joel and Matisse having a good run in that first half, there was actually a stretch where Mike Scott actually looked better than every other Sixer on the court. That's how bad the game was.
Hey,
and you know how much I love Mike
Scott. There's so much hate. Korkmaz hate on this chat right now. I'm just reading through it. And so every other comment is trade Korkmaz. If the guy sucks, what do you expect to get from him? Nothing.
Here's the other thing too. It's realistically. What did you say, Dibs?
Expectations on Korkmaz are way too high. We've said it 1,000 times on these pods. Less Furkan is more.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Korkmaz really they're not going to trade him. I'm sorry. I understand people want him traded. It's not going to happen.
What is he going to get you? Nothing.
His contract isn't, for one, he's not unless he is young. So maybe a team is okay, in a throw-in, they're okay, and he's a throw-in guy. That's what he is. He's a throw into a contract guy. He's the Terrence Ferguson that we got with Danny Green. That's what he is. And that, let's be honest with ourselves, that is what he is. The difference is that he can shoot sometimes. And I'm going to stress sometimes, because to me, he is insanely streaky. And I'm not a Korkmaz hater. I want Korkmaz to succeed. I like Korkmaz. I do. He's a nice dude. He's a streaky shooter. That's what he is. And we have to understand that, and we got to stop every time this guy doesn't play well, everyone makes it a big deal. Oh my God, Furkan Korkmaz sucks. It's no, he is what he is. He's just not a consistent 3-point shooter. He's not a Seth Curry. He's not. I don't know what else to say. And with trades, you're not gonna get a lot for him. He's gonna be a guy, if he is even involved in the trade, which it's very doubtful, he's gonna be a throw-in. So it's not like you're gonna be able to trade him and Mike Scott and get some good shooter. No. You're not trading. You're not going to trade a pile of dog shit and get diamonds. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
It's the same as the Ben Simmons hate. Korkmaz is who Korkmaz is. He's a guy that's going to get you 2-3 wins because he catches fire and gets you a couple regular season wins. You can't play him in the playoffs.
I will say this. I was going to say, they need to start looking at Isaiah Joe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
What Isaiah Joe's flat out better defender than Korkmaz. That's proven on film. And the guy,
I would say Korkmaz has gotten better with being in better positions though. He used to be out of position a lot. He's gotten better with that. Like he's getting more deflections than he definitely used to.
He has, but I mean, I'm much higher on Joe's defensive upside than I am in Korkmaz. And if you're asking me, can Joe at least match Korkmaz's production from deep? I don't see any reason why he can't. I mean, he's been shooting the ball with confidence. Again, he's not going to be pretty all the time, but
yeah,
I think it's worth giving Joe a little bit more of a run. And I thought he was going to get that. I mean, he played that Toronto game. I think it was the first game or the second game. It was the first game.
Were you surprised that you didn't see him get minutes tonight, being that Tobias was not playing? I
was. And I was surprised that he actually Maxey got minutes over him. I thought this was a game that you wanted Joe over Maxey. I didn't see him.
I wasn't necessarily surprised that Maxey got some minutes just because early Colin Sexton was kind of killing us a little bit early, and they probably wanted to get a guy with similar size on him. So it didn't surprise me much, but I will say it did surprise me with the amount of minutes Korkmaz did get tonight in comparison to what I thought Isaiah Joe was going to get. So that did surprise me.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to how you would grade tonight's performance. Tiago, how would you grade tonight's game?
It's an A+. Oh no. This is a D- effort across the board. I mean, you're playing one of the worst teams in the NBA. There's not much else that can be said. I will say this though: if they come out this week and they take care of business against the Pacers and the Jazz, then this game is going to be in people's rear view mirror because they got two pretty tough games this week coming up. So hopefully they close this first half of the season out because it's been a good first half. So let's not start dropping home games to these teams. So
what about you, Justin?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike Grimm here. I'm gonna go D-. Like it was definitely a winnable game, and there was too many mistakes and too many like simple mistakes that we had tonight to really just end our chances of winning this game for us. I mean, too many silly fouls at the end, too many missed shots from the free throw line and from deep from guys who were supposed to be hitting them, and just ultimately you can't do much about that. And it sucks even more that Joel really tried to will this team back into the game, and it just didn't happen tonight.
Mike is just really on target. And B is the only reason why it's not an F. That's 100%.
That's pretty true.
Yeah. Again, 18 points by Joel Embiid in the final 12 minutes. He held the Cleveland Cavaliers to 36 points in the second half. That's how bad the shooting was tonight by the Sixers. It is absolutely a travesty, especially when a 12-win team can expose your weaknesses like they have done twice now in the season so far. So there are major red flags that have come out of this loss. This is one of there's games this year where I'm just like, just throw it out. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, whatever. That has happened many times. This is not This is not one of those times. This is one of those times that I'm hoping Daryl Morey now has a full picture, a full painting, a full canvas of what needs to be done to improve this roster. I'm not saying go out and trade for Kyle Lowry right now. I'm just saying that what needs to be fixed is beyond clear. D- for me.
And real quick, I did want to say what you're saying is like more than warranted because it's not like this is something that's like a flash in the pan problem that's been happening. It's been a consistent issue over the last like month and a half, basically. Just bench not producing, and I think we know that, and Morey knows that, the team knows that, and I think it's just a matter of time till moves start happening. And early on, I think we were given indications that Morey is going to wait to see what the market is set at for certain things, and so we'll see is he going to set the market or is he going to wait for others to do it.
It's stopping dribble penetrators. It's getting a stretch five. There's just so many needs for the Sixers right now. There it is: ball handler, wing defender, stretch big.
I will say this though on that point, like if you're a buyout guy, right, and you're seeing the Sixers play and you're watching Embiid and you're watching Simmons elevate their game, I'm going to imagine to be a lot of buyout guys who be like, I want to go play in Philly.
I could see that too, and people make the argument. A lot of people are making the argument that like buyout people may not want to come here because they may not get the amount of minutes that they want. I disagree with that though. I think if you're a buyout candidate and you're willing to play that like 6-man role, or even the small forward role. If it's a buyout candidate that's capable of playing the Danny Green spot, it wouldn't surprise me at all if somebody at least with the wing defender or the oh my goodness, the big man role, like the stretch big role. Those two positions I could definitely see being a buyout. The guard position that we want, I think, is one of those positions that you more would have to trade for to get the value you really want, like a guy like George Hill. So,
all right. Final thoughts, plugs. You're up, Tiago.
Yeah, so plugs. I actually finished up an article about, you guessed it, Matisse Thybulle. And my whole idea is that when you start thinking him beyond a 3-and-D guy, so I studied a guy that the Nets used called Bruce Brown, who's a similar type of player than Matisse Thybulle, defensive-oriented guy, all hustle, cannot shoot to save his life. And the other night, he scored 29 points. We could only dream Thybulle, scoring 29 points. And going back and studying his film, the Nets use him a lot as like a screener and cutter and a lot in transition. So I try to envision what Thybulle's game can look if the Sixers, do more of that with him and have him shoot less 3-point shots. So I'm very high on Thybulle. I think that he's been playing really well this year. And I think his offensive ceiling can be higher if the Sixers just use him a little bit different than what they have so far this year. So look out for that.
Just to piggyback off of that, I'll have February highlights of the Sixers: Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, Tyrese, you name it. But I also will have one of Matisse Thybulle. And, man, these highlights are awesome, man. I'm telling you, it's a really good stretch of highlights, especially defensively for Matisse. You're up, Justin.
Go follow me on Twitter at @J_Persichetti. If you want Blue Coats basketball, which I see John's commented down there about Justin Robinson, the starting point guard for the Delaware Blue Coats, the Sixers G League affiliate team. I cover the beat for them, and I've been trying to get as many highlights as I can of the game out there on my Twitter page, and also giving you guys press conference quotes of the games. So definitely go follow me on Twitter if you want that kind of stuff. I think this is interesting, though. This is an interesting comment. I don't think it would happen, and I don't think I want it to happen. But Justin Robinson has been very impressive down in the G League from deep and also playmaking wise. So it's an interesting thought. That we can talk about that in another pod, though.
Love it. All right, thank you everyone for watching. The Sixers got the L tonight, 112-109. Tough game. But anyway, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. Thank you everyone for watching. Follow us on Twitter at The Painted Lines. We're on Twitch. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Follow my man Tiago at @Tscabia on Twitter. Follow my man Justin at @J_Persichetti. For everyone here, thanks for watching, guys. Go Sixers. Stay awesome.
Peace.